Oh, hi, and welcome to my studio. My name is Sam Canfouche. What's that? You'd like to learn how to draw a caricature? You've come to the right place. First things first, before we get started with our caricature, we're gonna need some supplies to complete it. First things first, you're gonna need to get yourself an artist's easel. An easel is the most famous way of making a drawing and or caricature. People use them all the time, caricature vendors, people at parties, people at gatherings. It's typically what you see people drawing on. Now you can obviously complete your picture on a table or another hard surface, but to keep things simple, we're gonna use it with the good old easel. Next up, you're gonna need to get yourself an 11 by 17 piece of paper. This is the best size paper to use when drawing a caricature. Now you might be asking yourself, hey, Sam, can I do this in pencil? So if I make a mistake, I can erase it? Well, young whippersnapper, you would be right. But when people draw caricatures at parties and events, you can't make it a mistake. You need to do everything in permanent marker. And I'm gonna tell you the best brand of marker to use when making your caricatures. I prefer the Chart Pack Super Black Permanent Marker because as you can see, the tip of the marker is uniquely shaped for all the different strokes and techniques we're going to use when completing our drawing. Now that we got all of our supplies, let's get into it, shall we? Oh, silly me, I forgot the most important part of when you're drawing. You're gonna need to find yourself a photograph of someone or a model if you're lucky. And luckily, I have a subject right here in this very virtual platform by the name of Luke Sacco. This one will do just fine. Now that you have everything you need, first things first, when completing your caricature, you want to look at the head of the subject. That is always the most important part of the subject, and that is what you should start with. Get the head shape of Luke right here. Hair coming down. Luke has a very bold chin, almost like Batman. Once you have the head shape, you're going to want to go with your hairline. And like I was saying before, about these markers, you have the ability to turn the tip so you can make thicker lines going into thinner lines or thinner lines going into thicker lines. And that is exactly what we're going to do when making Lucas's amazing hairline. These types of things are called contour lines. We're going to do the same thing whenever we move on to the ears. Now, as you can see, we're starting with all the outer features of Luke Sacco. Soon we will get right into drawing his face. Now we always going to draw the squigglies in his ears. Look very cartoony. I always like to draw my ears real large when drawing caricatures because it adds to the humor of it, you know what I mean? Next up, you're going to want to get started with the eyes. Now the eyes are the most important part of your caricature. Luke here, he's got some very smuggish eyes, looking very mysterious, very, very, very handsome young man. Start with the eyelid, and then we move right into the pupil. Under eyelid right there. Another one. Another pupil, and under the eyelid. Now the next thing I like to do is actually draw the eyebrows. Now, this is another part where you can really exaggerate your subject. If a subject has sort of bigger eyebrows or smaller eyebrows, exaggerating it is always a great idea in your caricature. Now, Luke, we're gonna make his eyebrows real big, real visible. You always get a good kick out of the subject, the model, whoever you're drawing, and like so. Next up on Luke, we're going to be doing the nose. Now, the nose is always one eye apart from the other two eyes. So think, you have a third eye in your head. That's where your nose is going to begin. Now, we start on the nose right here. Remember, always glance back at your subject. If you have a model in front of you, you're always going to be looking back in front of you, talking them up, giving them a good time, while drawing them and maybe even humiliating them in your drawing. Now, we're not going to do that for Luke here, because Luke is such a handsome young lad. And there you got Mr. Sacco's nose.
Action.
Now we're going to go into drawing the mouth. Now, the lips on somebody, they tend to be very different. Now, what I mean by that is the upper lip may be smaller than the lower lip, if you know what I mean. And exaggerating that will be very funny in your caricature, like so. As you can see, Luke's lower lip is a lot more popping out than his upper lip. So we're gonna exaggerate that very much so by giving Luke a big lower lip. Okay. Luke has some very great cheekbones, so we're gonna show that off in this caricature here. Draw them right there. Any facial features that pop out, say your subject has a mustache, a couple blemishes, some moles, you want to put those all in there. But Luke, we're going to give him some nice dimples right there. All right. Okay. Now next up, we're going to get started on the body. Now, let's see what Luke's wearing in this picture. Bow tie, suit vest, dress shirt. This is going to be a fun one. Now, we're going to start on the neck. You can see Luke's neck is very long in this picture, so why not make it a bit more skinny than it actually is in the picture, like so. Luke is wearing a collar, put that right there. Luke, gotta say, I love the bow tie. Never actually had one of these myself, but I'm gonna say, you rock it. Like that. Finish off the collar right here at the bottom below the bow tie. Now, when it comes to drawing caricatures, making your character smaller than they actually are is always a good time. What I mean by that is most boys have a lot broader shoulders, but seeing a male with shoulders the size of, say, that, is going to get a much better reaction. Finish up the outfit, put some buttons on the shirt, some buttons on the vest, and there you have yourself a caricature. Okay. If you're not satisfied with this so far, you're going to want to add some detail. By that, you can color in the eyes, the eyebrows, the hair, and I'm going to show you just how to do that right now. So, first off, we're going to go with the eyebrows. With the eyebrows, we're just going to shade in like so. Just a couple of lines, not coloring. You don't want anything to be messy. It has to look almost just cartoonish. Leave some white spots in there. Like so. Now you have Luke's eyebrows. Now instead of coloring the hair entirely black, what we're going to do is we're going to put lines going in the direction that his hair was combed. Some thick black lines going that way. You don't have to do this throughout the whole head, just the main parts. Now for the sides, we're going to be going down. Like so. Now this would be a smart time to start turning your brush. And by brush, I mean marker. Like so. Okay. Now to exaggerate the hair even more, to show that it's separate from the head, as you can see now, it just kind of looks like an older man Luke. So let's really define the outline of the hair by making it a bit more black. Keep outlining it like so. Now while we're doing the top, you're going to want to keep in mind that you're going to have to do the same thing to the bottom. To show off the hairline. There we go. Faster way of doing this, instead of coloring it like I was just doing, is put it on the thicker side of the marker. Then back to the thinner side whenever you have to. Just like that. Perfect. You can cut it Just like you just saw me do, we're going to do the same thing for the inside of the hair. No matter who your subject is, thick black lines are always going to be used for their hair or their head shape or anything of the matter. Just like that. Okay. Now, whenever you're doing a subject's eyes, their eyes are always going to look a bit different depending on the color. Luke's eyes here, they're very dark, so we're not going to put any pupils or anything like that. We're just going to color straight black, except we're always going to leave 2 white dots in that eye, just to show that his eyes are darker and he's not trying to possess you or anything. Just like that. Do the same thing for this one, like so. And there you have Luke's eyes. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to separate the chin even more from the neck. By doing that, we're going to shade in more down here, just like we did with the hairline, just like this. And there you have a defined chin and a defined jawline with your subject. Now, you could say you're finished right here, all said and done, but we'll add a couple more final details. We'll put some necklines right here going down. We'll shade in the bow tie just a little bit. Like that. And you can also do your caricatures in color if you'd like, but if you're at a party and you're doing these, or people just want them in a hurry, you're going to want to do them real fast in permanent marker with no other trouble. Add some more text right here, some black outline. Just like that, going over things that we already did before, like this. And there you go. The final thing is we're going to put more of a chin coming up right there. And there you have it. Now that you know all the tips and tricks on doing a caricature, all the techniques, all the different brush strokes, you're ready to make yourself a character. Now go out there, you little artists. Find yourself a subject.